Hello again, everyone. You're joining us for another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint podcast series. My name is Jeff Mix. I'm head of content and research. My guest today is Diluks De Silva of Compliance Architects. Diluks is actually rejoining us. We've had a couple of great conversations with him and his colleagues over the years. Today's update is going to be about where cell and gene therapies are going. It's certainly an exciting topic, and there's a lot of new stuff to cover. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Diluks, thank you for joining me again today.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be back.
I guess maybe I want to start off with the happy news that I remember 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of this was very much in the pipeline, and this seems to be the year things are coming out of the pipeline. Something like 40 approved drugs. It's amazing. Talk to me about what is happening and what's coming next.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been an incredible year, right? So far, I was just the other day, I was surfing in LinkedIn, and here comes a pop-up, right? 40 new products, cell and gene products approved, right? So FDA has been busy. The industry's been busy, right? So it's absolutely fantastic to see that level of engagement and approval because as we have discussed, when I first started in this space with Kymriah program, that was the very first, right? For us to be able to go from 2017 to have one program approved, but now in a single year to have 40, incredible, right? So
I mean, I guess from there, we start talking about like next steps. And I know one of the things that has always been a concern in this space as the cell and gene stuff has matured is costs and how we are going to figure out a way to make this affordable for people. And I understand there's some new thoughts in the space that maybe you can share with us.
Absolutely, yes. And I've been thinking about a lot about this, right? And how can we make affordability for cell and gene? And to be honest with you, the big manufacturers, right, even small manufacturers, there's still significant amount of challenges when it comes down to supply chain strategies, manufacturing strategies, scalability, right? But imagine us looking at it, institutional base cell and gene programs. Where
now, institutional base, we're talking about doing it at the hospital level?
At the hospital level.
Okay.
So you, as a patient, goes to the hospital, get diagnosed, and you happen to actually go ahead and take your product right from the hospital that you get diagnosed with, right? And because they have outfitted an air environment in their hospital to be able to manufacture the products that you need. So truly personal, patient-centric way of delivering and manufacturing these amazing products to the patients, right? And by the way, there are some institutions in the U.S. that are practicing this approach that have been approved by the U.S. FDA. And I got to see some of that already back in 2019 at CHOP Hospital of Philadelphia with Dr. Grab's programs. And this is actually expanding. So it will be a significant challenge, right, to the manufacturers of these, the commercial manufacturers. See, how do we go ahead and make this available from a cost point of view? Because you are reducing significant amount of overhead cost when you're actually manufacturing these at the point of use, right? At the end of the day, the benefit is for the patient, right?
Well, benefits for the patient, and also I can imagine from the planning side of things, you don't have to take a sample out, take it to a manufacturing thing, probably across the country.
Exactly.
What does that do to your timelines? What does that do to your control?
Absolutely. And imagine the supply chain strategy that you had to put in place, because these samples has to travel, the products has to travel back and forth. In this case, what we're doing is a patient is traveling to the location and they're getting what they needed. And it's there.
So have we gotten far enough to talk about some of the specifics of this? Is it going to be sort of like state by state and province by province, there's going to be a hospital with a manufacturing capability on the premises? Like, is that how they make this work at scale?
I think we are maybe a little bit too early to have that type of discussion, but I would imagine that it will be hospital by hospital, right? Because that's actually what I have seen over the last years of some of the programs that are being formed, right? And with the technology and the physicians being able to go out and practice at the clinical level, these programs are putting them into their clinical operations.
Well, I mean, it's still very exciting that the conversation has now moved to the right way to do this instead of can we do this?
Yeah.
That's very exciting. I know another one of the updates that you mentioned to me recently that I'd like a little bit more on is the idea of cell and gene therapy working in parallel with other treatments and other assets needing to be involved in it. And I wonder if we can get an update in that space.
Absolutely. So one of the very interesting things that we have been dealing recently with compliance architects and some of our clients is the process of combination products, right, in cell and gene, right? What we have observed and what we have seen and what we are supporting some of our clients is the fact that the delivery mechanisms, they are complicated delivery mechanisms, right? And they are starting to be medical devices. So you have a biological system, like a biological product, cell and gene product, that has to be administered through or utilizing a medical device. So this is now becoming a combination program. Now, when we're looking at this from a quality management system point of view, right, and how do you then put the right quality infrastructure to go ahead and bring this together? It's amazing, right? Of course, some of these programs are very early programs, but we are starting to go ahead and work with some of our clients to be able to bring these two entities together, right? A gene therapy program with a combination program, right? Combination product, where to be in one place, right? So it's amazing.
So, I mean, a lot of new and exciting things in the space for sure. I guess at some point we do have to talk about the industry's capacity to keep up with growth, because there are going to be bottlenecks. There are going to be only so much talent to go around, only so many resources to go around, especially if things shift, where instead of having a plant that is in a centralized location, we have distributed manufacturing, or we need to be pairing with medical device manufacturers to deliver what we're doing. Let's talk about making sure we don't outrun our runway, if you like.
Yeah. No, a very valid point, right? Very interesting question. When we look at this, right, one of the key things is we got to see, this year's conference, BMW 24, right? Some of the innovative manufacturers like Solaris, right? Their programs of bringing, right, manufacturing suite into this pod, right? Amazing, right? So technology is advancing. At the same time, one of the key things that as an industry we have to keep in mind is how do we ensure this speed to market and that wall that we could potentially hit from the CMC point of view, right? How do we make sure that we build all of those elements during that early stage development so you don't hit that wall when it comes down to your commercial operations, right? It's very important for us to be able to consider those elements, because if you don't, speed to market is everybody's going to go after that, right? Because it's for unmet need, especially for those rare diseases, right? So once we get through that tunnel and say there's an approval and you're getting into the commercial operations, are you ready, right? And to be honest with you, we have seen number of our clients who have struggled with that, where they have gotten perfect approval of a product, and biannual inspections comes along, and questions are being brought up, right? So can we avoid that? Absolutely, right? How do we avoid it? Strengthening the front end of that program so you can predict based on risk-based approach to avoid that wall of CMC in actually the commercial operation sector.
One of the things I always so enjoy when I'm speaking with you and with your colleagues is that your organization seems to have an overview of the entire industry, whether it's a small startup or virtual company, all the way through to the giants. Without naming names, because I appreciate you're not allowed to, can you walk us through some examples of the work you do to help the industry do better?
Of course. Lately, one of the key things that we have been doing, and again, I don't think there's any right or wrong here, but we have been given the opportunity through some of our clients to be able to optimize the work that some of our other competitors have either performed or have completed, right? And one of the things that we take pride in as compliance architects is to go ahead and put the right solution. The name compliance architects means architecturing the right solution to fit your business. And we take a lot of pride in that. And that's one of our core values is we don't typically deliver a program that is a box solution. We deliver programs that fit into your space, into your modalities, and we really are prideful of putting fit-for-purpose programs that is going to last the lifetime of that program. So we've been doing a lot of that. One would say cleanup work. One could say optimization work. You can name it. But we are very humbled by the opportunities that we have received to be able to go and do that.
And I know one of the things your organization also excels at, and you're a shining example of it, is recruiting from industry. Even with an industry like cell and gene therapy, where it's still in the process of inventing itself, your group has gone out and found leaders in the space who are willing to help others. So maybe we could talk a little bit about where your expertise comes from and how it helps you look at problems differently.
Absolutely. And all of our expertise in our firm actually are industry experts who have done it, been there, right? Have walked in your shoes one time or another, right? Either quality head, a compliance head, MSNT head. So we pride ourselves in having that because it is industry expertise and seasoned industry expertise, right? Where majority of our team members are there not only to go ahead and deliver a very good program to them, but also help teach and leave behind the knowledge. We do not want to take our knowledge with us of your programs. We want to leave that behind. So those principles allow us to bring the right talent into our programs. And that's one of the reasons why I joined, right? Compliance Architects is, it was a time in my career that I felt that it's time that I give back, right? And I am doing that, believe me or not, right? I love it, right? The last year has been absolutely phenomenal for me. I worked with so many different clients who I've been able to go ahead and share my knowledge and know-how while I'm doing that to help them to elevate their programs to the next level.
And again, to circle back to where we started, the pipeline is now starting to produce approved, commercially available products. And
it's awesome.
You now get to have a hand in many successes instead of, just the couple that you're doing within your own company.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love it.
So for people who have been listening to this, and I hope the other Compliance Architect episodes as well, and say, okay, well, my company has a particular challenge. I want to ask the experts, what does getting in touch look like? How do they get that ball?
Absolutely. I mean, you can link us through Compliance Architects website. Of course, this podcast, I'm sure you'll find our logo and our information. And of course, you can reach to me, Diluks De Silva at LinkedIn, and we can connect and have start the conversation.
I always think it's so generous when you and Jack and Teresa say, you can reach out to me directly because I get the pleasure of speaking to you about this. I leave every one of these conversations with so much optimism. I actually, my wife works in healthcare. I come back. Yours are the conversations I repeat to her. So I encourage everyone who has been listening to this, Diluks and his colleagues are such a resource. Please do reach out. In the meantime, I want to thank you so much for your time. It really is one of the highlights of my time on site when here's the Compliance Architects interview. What is new in the space? Because I know I'm hearing it direct from the source.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's always a pleasure, right, having these discussions. Thank you.
Well, with that, I do want to be respectful of your time. Again, I encourage everyone to check out the website or reach out to Diluks directly. But in the meantime, you have been listening to another episode of Executive Platform's Blueprint Podcast. I've been Jeff Mix. Let's do it again soon.